Hello, my name is Angelo Rodriguez, and today I will be giving a presentation on my research paper titled Networking Becomes More Vital. So really quick, I wanted to go over the two main topics of discussion for the presentation. First one being why we need more networking talent. So now it's really easy to start a business. Really anybody with an idea can go to a website, type in a few things, click some buttons on there, and then they can start a website and be ready to take and process orders. Now with all these new traffics and networks being developed, that makes the networks generally bigger. So for example, the amount of administration and management on a network that would only have 50 people as opposed to one that would have 600 would be a lot more. Bigger networks require more networking resources because of all those people requesting and clicking on things. They also require more security because each of those people is potentially a vulnerability that could lead to some kind of security breach. And the increasing of cyber attacks and social engineering also creates a demand for more networking talent. The reason for that being is that networking professionals can develop a inherently secure network design that makes it more difficult for hackers to intrude and take control of the system resources. And now businesses are required to have the least amount of downtime possible, typically around less than 0.1% downtime. So 1% of a year is 3 days. Now imagine Amazon or YouTube or a hospital stops working for 3 days. Compared to a year, it's not really a whole lot, but if you think about it, those 3 days can make a huge impact on financial losses or loss of human life even. Second main point, human resource development is crucial to organizational success. So HRD professionals can develop skills within an organization like communication, time management, and leadership. And the reason why these skills are really important, especially for a IT organization or one that deals with a lot of technology, is that communication technology has made it a lot easier for people to contact and talk to anyone from across the world, really. And with all those people coming into contact requires a lot more collaboration and communication. So you deal with a lot more people now than you would have probably if you were working back in, say, the early 70s. Time management is also really important because when you come across all those people, they give you a lot more tasks and more workflow. And you're required to manage your time efficiently in order to get the task done in a quick and efficient manner. Now, more recently, HRD professionals have been able to utilize and take advantage of technology to make their work more streamlined and efficient, particularly taking the time out of required administrative tasks. So next slide, why we need more networking talent. Now it's easier than ever to create a business. Every day there are hundreds and thousands of online transactions occurring from apps and e-commerce that are way faster than traditional brick and mortar stores. An example of some of these online sellers would be eBay, Amazon, and Walmart. The modernization of government services makes it easier for entrepreneurs to start a business. Now, the internet is not this infinite system that can endlessly support the world's growing population and billions of devices that get introduced. The networking internet systems require extra computing resources, networking, administrative, and security resources. The size and scope of the networks pose a challenge for maintenance staff to create updates and address security concerns. Some aspects of organizations with large networks that they have to think about in the IT side of things would be authentication, which is making sure that this person is who they say they are. Authorization, which is the making sure that somebody has the correct level needed in order to access the resources. Accounting, which basically keeps track of what people do with what files, and what changes they make, what time and place, and whatnot. Routing, which is like the map of networks that are all interconnected on one business organization. User groups, which are like a collective set of permissions that a certain department or group of people might have. Security concerns, which would be things like secure network design, or maybe email policies or security policies in general to prevent things like people, like any random person, from connecting to the internet, and passwords and whatnot. Now, there are scripts that can automate all of the basic maintenance and administrative tasks. However, doing that requires a certain amount of proficiency in programming. Now, every user connected to the internet in your organization poses a security risk because hackers are always trying to manipulate vulnerable users into clicking malicious links in order to have them give out valuable insider information. Now, ever since COVID lockdowns and restrictions have been happening, a lot of businesses have started switching over to allow their workers to work remotely from home. Now, remote working presents extra challenges for IT staff, such as email, file sharing, and being able to access those networks from their home. Some of the most common methods of social engineering were some of the most common methods of cyber attacks were social engineering. Now, it sounds like a fancy word, but it's really just a way of saying somebody tricking another user across the internet into giving out information that they shouldn't be giving out. Now, the three most commonly types of social engineering were socio-technical, technical, and social attacks. The socio-technical attacks involve use of technology to get the victims to give out their information. This is kind of like phishing attacks, where they kind of try to act like someone that they're not, to try to get them to give out information. Technical attack is like an attacker using their own skills to forcibly locate and move the information that they need from their victim. And social is basically a fancy way of saying that the attacker impersonates somebody over the phone or by email to get them to hand out the information. Some of the most commonly attacked organizations were healthcare organizations, hospitals, and government. These attacks are growing in complexity and number, and as a result, the amount of organizations turning to artificial intelligence has been increasing. The way they use artificial intelligence to detect and prevent these kinds of attacks is they have the host-based intrusion detection system, which is basically like a system that handles all of their outside networking security. What it does is the system monitors the network over a period of time and establish a baseline of normal operating activity, and any unusual or high network activity raises red flags and automatically deploys defensive actions. So say for example, it were a Sunday night and usually maybe 10 to 20 people are clicking on the website. If one day all of a sudden 20,000 people started clicking, the host-based intrusion detection system would recognize that as a threat and most likely severely limit the amount of network connections to allow actual legitimate people to get through. These kinds of innovative solutions allow organizations to increase their uptime to almost 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. Now, downtime is more significant now than it's ever been. And the reason for that is that a lot of organizations are striving for more than a 99% uptime. So 1% of a year is around 3 days, which may not sound like a lot, but if you put that into perspective, what if an airport, a military, or government stopped working for 3 days? That'd probably make a lot of people uneasy and probably open up a lot of injury or harm or personal damage. Now, Cisco, a company that's really well known for developing networking components, over the span of 7 years, experienced a downtime of 5 hours. And as a result, they lost over $1 million. Now, 5 hours over the span of 7 years is about 99.97% uptime. So that 0.03% ended up costing the company $1 million. Not only do they lose money, but they also lose trust and credibility from the general public. Alright, next slide. HRD is crucial to organizational success. So HRD professionals can develop skills such as leadership, which allows employees to think for themselves and make tough decisions and be mindful of their actions and how that affects the rest of the organization. And time management, which is the maintenance and to maintain and work on their own personal schedules in a way that allocates the proper amount of resources based on the importance of the tasks and or people, while also handling the little details. And networking skills, which is the increasing of your or maintaining of your professional circle to open the path for future collaborations and performing tasks to keep your circle happy with you and cooperative. HRD pros can also identify problematic areas in your HRD skills. If an organization did something like continuous performance reviews, an employee might get reports from their manager or colleagues, although they wouldn't know who exactly it came from. That would identify the problematic areas, and the professional could attempt to address those areas. For example, somebody working at an organization tries to be upfront and honest about everything. However, on his feedback report, it says that he comes off as callous and cold towards everyone, even though the HRD professional wouldn't say something like that directly to him. They could bring it up in a performance review and take measures to try to act on it and fix it. Inadequacies in communication, such as that, can lead to confusion, frustration, and potentially conflict in an organization. Technology has changed the way HRD professionals interact with employees in the organization. For example, teleconferencing communication allows employees and managers to collaborate and work with each other in groups regardless of their physical location. Human resource information systems can also reduce the workload of HRD professionals by automating routine administrative and compliance tasks and even outsource some of the human resource work. This reduction in workload allows the HRD professionals more time to develop skills that affect productivity and outcome of employees' work. In a more recent approach, evidence-based management, which is the discarding of traditional hierarchy of opinions in favor of critical thinking and using existing information and evidence to make business decisions. This approach has been shown to be one of the most effective ways to build a high-performance culture. And that kind of culture cultivates creativity and also encourages employees to constantly improve on their own skills. That's the end of the presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.